tonight's topic is on porn addiction. This is a controversial topic, which we will discuss in a moment here. But it's controversial because there is no official diagnosis for porn addiction. And there are professionals in the sex therapy realm that don't even believe it exists. So needless to say, there are many, many individuals who self-identify as having a pornography addiction, that identify as having behavioral compulsions and sexual dysfunctions, all related to pornography use. On top of that, there's multiple research studies that would also imply and indicate that this is a real thing and a real phenomenon that people struggle with. So if you are here listening, wondering if you might have a problem with porn addiction yourself, or perhaps your partner might have a problem, please keep watching. Feel free to jump in the chat and participate in the discussion or ask any questions. We are going to talk about all of the warning signs of pornography addiction, as well as the steps to recovery. How is that for take two?
I'm so excited.
Okay.
I liked it, a little bit of spice with it.
Oh, gosh. It's a serious topic. Please don't take our laughter as if we don't take this topic seriously, because we have plenty of people who reach out looking for support and help in this area. Just keep in mind, it is 8:30 at night. Beyond that, our time. We've been working all day, and we're a little
squirrely.
Yeah. I noticed when I was watching back at our last live stream, which was penis problems when hard gets harder. I was very giggly throughout that, and I was like, oh, I hope whoever might be watching this, it was all about erectile dysfunction, that whoever might be watching is not like, they don't even care, they don't take it seriously. Like, certainly we take this stuff very seriously. It's like our livelihood, and we aim to help people work through their sexual issues and improve their sex lives. And so we're a little squirrely come 8:30 and beyond at night.
But we're passionate, and that's why we're here.
That is why we're here. Yes. Okay. So to revisit here for a moment why it is a controversial topic. Victoria, you shared. Please share again.
Yes, I've heard of other licensed therapists, licensed sex therapists, saying that it's not a real addiction. And you had mentioned partly because it's not in the DSM, and then also there's claims that there's no withdrawals, and that is a key component of addiction. And I was saying I disagree. I've seen withdrawal symptoms when it comes to pornography, and you were saying as well.
Absolutely. I think that licensed therapist is not well informed on the topic, probably shouldn't be speaking on the topic. I mean, maybe that sounds judgy of me, but there's a lot of misinformation just around the topic of sex therapy in general, and plenty of sex therapists can fall into, I think, some problematic beliefs around sex themselves too. So it's something to be really aware of and keep up with the research and keep current with information out there, so that you're not kind of perpetuating old myths around sex and sex-related issues. So, but yeah, the controversy that I'm aware of is that people in the kind of sex-positive community really just want to embrace anything sexual and see it as a healthy and good thing, including pornography, and to indicate that there could be a problem with that, that somebody could become addicted to that is, contradicts their beliefs around just like being very accepting and open of anything sexual. So my personal take is that there's plenty of people who struggle with pornography addiction. That problem is very real, and to deny that that's a possibility, I think, is really invalidating to those people. And
Absolutely.
All you have to do is spend some time on Reddit, there's multiple forums and websites out there designed to help people with this particular problem. you can read other people's testimonies and see that this is a real thing. And doesn't affect everybody, of course, just like how not everyone struggles with alcoholism. Some people can
Right.
drink and drink responsibly and not have that become a debilitating behavioral, and substance compulsion. So, but it is a real thing for plenty of people. So, okay. So that is the controversy there. So let's talk about what some of the research says here. So there are 37 neurological studies on porn users.
Wow.
23 studies link porn addiction to sexual problems and lower levels of arousal. 40 studies link porn use to lower cognitive functioning and mental health issues. 50 studies link porn use to less sexual and relationship satisfaction.
That's a lot of good information.
Yeah. So one of the books that I'm referencing tonight is called Your Brain on Porn. And drawing a blank on our writer here. I can get his name in a moment. But let's talk about the definition of addiction, right? So we kind of know what it is we're talking about here. It's the use or misuse of a substance or behavior that becomes compulsive and continues despite there being a negative consequence. So for example, spending $30,000, that's a huge financial hit. That would be an example of a consequence. And it's a continued behavior despite that. Wow, chat is light. This is new for us, guys. We're not used to so many chats happening here. So bear with us as we try to respond to some of them.
Yep. And we might want to wait more towards the end and try to hit a few of you guys, but we'll try to keep you guys engaged as we go along too.
Okay. This must be a popular topic on here. Okay. Attempts to stop the behavior are often, not successful.
Yeah.
And there often are withdrawal symptoms when you stop pornography use. Anxiety, irritability, tremors are a few examples. Goodness.
Have you seen that in your practice before?
Yes, I have. Brain fog is a common one. If somebody stops engaging in a sexual compulsive behavior, they will often feel kind of like they're in a fog, sluggish, lethargic. That's a common symptom I hear most often. How about yourself?
That and a lot of irritability too, or feeling more sensitive.
Yeah. I will say the other side of that, when you get past the withdrawal symptoms, there often is a greater sense of clarity and less brain fog, usually followed by newfound attraction to a partner if that was something that they were struggling with as a result of their porn addiction.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what about porn makes it addictive? So this is where it gets a little scientific here. The primitive part of our brain, now something to keep in mind, a lot of the research out here is primarily done on males. There isn't a lot of information out there on females that struggle with porn addiction. I have certainly heard about women struggling with that and have had people reach out looking for help on that issue. We need more research on that topic. So a lot of what I'm going to share tonight is about male participants and research done on men. So keep that in mind.
Not that it can't happen to women. And I think we've seen a shift too, that I feel like more and more women are watching and engaging with porn.
Yeah.
I've heard from different podcasts from different research psychologists saying when they're conducting a study around porn, they're having way more female participants than ever and less male participants.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think that more and more research is being done, and hopefully we get more information. So certainly if you're female and you're tuning in and this resonates with you, I think a lot of this information does apply, but just note that a lot of this is kind of centered towards males. So the primitive part of our brain is designed for males to mate with novel females. They call this the Coolidge effect. We get this from research on other mammals, and the idea is that it's to avoid inbreeding. So this idea that novelty, a new female, when we look at research with animals, the male mammal can kind of mate with different females. Whereas if it's with the same, it's pretty stereotypical sounding, but if it's with the same female, then it starts to become a little bit more difficult and challenging for that, I don't know, male ox, whatever they were studying, to keep mating with the same female. So, and so there's theories on this, right? Dopamine is released with each novel female. And dopamine motivates our reward system. This is what I'm about to describe is a common phenomenon with other addictions as well. It's usually referred to as the pleasure molecule, but more accurately, it's about seeking and searching for pleasure, not the actual pleasure itself. It rises with anticipation. It's about the wanting of something. So dopamine is really kind of surging in your brain when you're searching and seeking and wanting something. The actual feelings of pleasure, such as orgasm and climax, are about the release of endogenous opioids. Those are morphine-like chemicals. We'll just call them like the opioids of our body.
They're painkillers.
Yeah, it's like a relaxing it's the liking effect that you see or that you experience as a result of this. So if you think about if it's a really hot summer day and you're sort of like fantasizing about an ice cold glass of lemonade, there's some dopamine happening in your brain with the wanting and the desiring of that. And you would get an opioid effect when you actually drink the lemonade.
Interesting.
Okay. So that's more about the liking. So the dopamine system is stronger than the opioid system. We seek more than we are satisfied. And the theory is that's good for evolution. If you were to just, primarily be seeking contentment and satisfaction, you would not be mating and spreading your seed theoretically and, creating offspring. That's the theory. So we tend to want to stay in that seeking, searching, wanting phase, which is dopamine. Okay, so what does this all mean for porn addiction? Porn provides unending novelty, right? New video clips, various genres, countless variations of sexual acts, fetishes, you name it, you can find it, and they're short.
It's never ending.
It's never ending. You can search for it rapidly, quickly, and you can find just about anything, right? And they're often like short, intense clips of some of the most...
Constantly new material posted every day.
Right, yeah, in multiple times a day.
Yeah.
It's easily accessible, and it creates that short...
Free, sometimes completely free.
Yeah, absolutely. It's stimulation unlike anything found in the natural world, is I think what to keep in mind here. Scientists call this supernormal stimuli. It's a bigger blast of dopamine compared to its natural counterpart, which would be sex with a partner, right? Sex with a natural partner, and how you would go about pursuing a potential mate in the natural world is not going to produce such a high level of dopamine as it does in viewing pornography.
Yeah, it takes more work for sure, right? Even if you're not necessarily courting someone, even if you're just casually hooking up, that's still going to take more work than engaging with porn.
And the dopamine hit you would get from that is it's just more subdued because you don't have that short, intense stimulation and the constant novelty, rapid fire, right? You could have some guys I've worked with struggling with porn addiction will have multiple tabs open and be switching from tab to tab, clip to clip. And this idea of the searching and the wanting, that dopamine part of the process, is certainly where they stay. I've heard, individuals talk about spending hours out of their day trying to find the perfect clip to get off to. It interrupts their workday, their time with friends and family, other healthy hobbies and outlets.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of people that really suffer from this, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Here's the other thing, and I think like porn production has gotten smart.
The algorithms.
Yeah. Well, they know what works. And so
Yeah.
there are certain emotions that actually also produce dopamine. Shock, surprise are two of the ones, and even anxiety are actually emotions that will further boost dopamine. So you see this trend in the content of pornography that has gotten aggressive, very shocking scenarios. You've got shocking like plots or shocking acts, things that would not necessarily be actually pleasurable in the natural world, but they create this shock factor that further boosts that dopamine impact. So I don't think that's like a coincidence. I think that the porn industries know what is keeping people coming back and hooked.
Absolutely. Those views, that's how they make money. They want more views.
Yeah, and it works. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a huge industry. There's what they're seeing more and more now, what research is indicating is that men with erectile dysfunction is happening at a younger and younger age. Urologists are seeing younger and younger men with erectile and performance issues. And there's a theory out there and some research to indicate that compulsive pornography use is part of that equation. Okay.
Even if it's not from that dopamine, it definitely can come from performance anxiety from what you're seeing in pornography, right? Because as you're saying, right, they're looking for the shock factor, the awe factor. They have to be bigger and better and last longer. And that's not necessarily happening in reality. And so that can create a lot of anxiety, which can create erectile dysfunction.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's a real phenomenon. Okay, your brain will fight back from all the binging and dopamine with a molecule called CREB, C-R-E-B. Not sure if you spell that out or pronounce that out. It inhibits dopamine production in an attempt to give you a break. Our bodies and our brains are kind of wild in that they're resilient and they will find ways to try to help you out. And in this case, it's actually going to inhibit your dopamine production to try to give your brain a rest. This is why people feel a lack of joy or pleasure in other areas of life. They're kind of like numbed down a bit, and everything else kind of seems like lackluster, other than the porn, other than the thing
That's
that
fair.
is, producing those huge bursts of dopamine. And you see that with other addictions too, right? People kind of just feel like regular life is too hard without whatever substance it is that they've become accustomed to and habituated to, creating these surges of dopamine. So, Victoria, question for you and anyone in the chat. What age do you think the average male first views pornography?
I think I may have heard this before, so I think it's 11.
Yes. Yeah.
11.
11.
Okay.
Average age.
Which is
11-year-old.
young.
So young. And
11 is very young.
And 11-year-olds now have access to high-speed internet. This phenomenon, it's kind of relatively new in that we didn't see pornography addiction being something that really developed for people until high-speed internet, until you could have it quickly, intensely, and privately, right? Because before high-speed internet, to get pornography involved what? Like, anybody old enough in the chat? Anybody of an age, male, 40 and old, 50 and over? I'm trying to think what would be because 2006, I think, is when we developed high-speed internet.
I don't know.
Yeah, back in the day, you would have to go, I think they had like movie theaters where you could go and watch like a porn. So you had to be willing to overcome the barrier of like going to a theater, purchasing a ticket with, looking other men and maybe women in the face. Like, we're all here for the same thing. Sit in a public room. And I don't think you were allowed to masturbate. But then they had like private booths that you could go in and like masturbate in a booth, but you still had to go out in public and like go and pay for the booth and like wait your turn. Then it was like renting, DVDs, buying a magazine. Then you could bring it home and utilize it in the privacy of your own home.
Yeah.
And, still there would be like then that one, hello, birdseed gaming. There would be like that one video that you would watch and that would be it. That would be your content. You could rewatch it, I suppose.
Yeah.
None of these phenomenons contributed to like the huge surges of dopamine that you see with high-speed internet porn. I'm here to talk about masturbating. Well, we're talking about pornography addiction, and if you have any questions related to that or want to contribute, feel free to do so. They're a little bit different.
Happy to have you.
Yeah, porn addiction is sort of its own phenomenon that is separate from just masturbation.
Absolutely.
You can kind of have one without the other, if that makes sense. Okay, so we think about the average age of a male seeing pornography nowadays at age 11. We think about what that does to their psyche.
I'm having such a hard time paying attention to what you're saying and
I know.
reading the chat at the same time.
It.
It's honestly a skill for people who have so many viewers view them at one time to be able to chat and like focus on the chatters. Like, I'm looking at you and I'm trying to pay attention to what you're saying, but I see the chat going, and so I'm just like, what is happening?
Yes, and also not sure how to respond and to some of these comments. Okay.
Yeah.
Me too. Handmade mayonnaise. Are you saying that you also don't know how to respond to these comments? Oh no.
I don't think so.
Oh. Oh, you're responding. Oh. Goodness. So, what is the science behind foot fetishes? Oh,
we actually have a whole video on that on YouTube. Check us out. Yeah, we talked about a whole episode on fetishes, and we're happy to share about that with you.
Check out our YouTube channel. It was called Fun with Feet.
Yep.
And we actually talk about why foot fetish is so common, and it has a lot to do with the mapping of your brain. So if you're a little bit of a nerd and you like learning about the science behind sex, we have stuff for you there.
I'm hoping to reduce any shame about that. So I'm glad that you.
Down to fall damage. I appreciate the sentiment. Thank you.
And at one point, we will talk more about kinks such as cuckolding and BDSM. We will have another episode.
That's actually a really good topic idea. We certainly can come back with that one. Absolutely. Isn't the foot thing right next to the sexual control part of your brain? Yes, down to fall damage. You got it. Okay, so here we talk about wiring our brain, right? The neural pathways in our brain, and what high-speed porn does for your brain here, okay? We're associating certain types of experiences and behaviors along with that, right? So when we think about being home, multiple clips, intense stimulation at 11 years old, being alone, voyeurism, clicking, searching, multiple tabs, constant novelty, and the shock and surprise, which is often aggression and, sexual content that seems taboo. Real sex, when we think about courtship, touching, being touched, smells, pheromones, emotional reactions, interacting with a real person and a partner. This is how we are wiring our sexual development with real partner sex compared to internet porn. And a lot of adolescents today are discovering porn and viewing porn first. That those are like their first sexual experiences, being sexual with themselves. And that's also the type of content they're being exposed to, which that's a topic for another time. But the like what beliefs and myths, we've referenced this in some of our other live streams, like the beliefs and myths that we develop as a result of just the content in pornography. But our brains are neuroplastic and the reward system is competitive. So something to keep in mind. We cannot hold multiple attractions simultaneously, if that makes sense. So when pornography is taking over as the primary main attraction for dopamine in our brain, and we are utilizing porn and doing so compulsively and getting those surges, we cannot maintain the same level of attraction to a partner in that same way. So a lot of people who struggle with porn addiction will talk about how they don't really feel attracted to their partner anymore, or just other people, like again, a lot of this research is based on men, but other people, they just like don't feel like attracted to other people in like real life anymore.
So getting back to what you were saying, Holly, I think that's super interesting. I was listening to the podcast Sex with Emily today. It's a great podcast for anyone looking for more information along with us. And she was talking about research that people are found more attractive like in the winter than in the summer, because in the summer, with all being like habituated to all of the skin being shown, the winter, it's like if you see any skin, you're automatically even more attracted. So it would make sense with what you were saying about always seeing these different new and novel humans and bodies, that the body that you see all the time becomes maybe less and less interesting or attractive to you.
Right, and especially so, right, with chronic pornography use.
Hi, Kraken. Thanks for commenting.
Oh, hi, good.
We're good. We're talking about porn addiction right now, so feel free to comment if you have any questions or want to chime in about porn addiction. If you have questions in other areas, we have other videos on YouTube that we're happy to share with you.
Yeah, I'm seeing some comments here about penis size and some concerns about that and how important that is. And I agree that, porn does greatly exaggerate penis size. And I would think that would certainly contribute. It's not really our topic tonight, but obviously it's coming up here, that what we're viewing, if you're viewing a lot of pornography, it's going to alter your perception about what is healthy and normal, in whether it be a body type, body parts, what is healthy, normal sex. Pornography is a fantasy. It's fiction. It's a performance. Pornography is no more, I had it written down here.
They're actors acting,
They
and
are
it's getting
actors.
edited.
Absolutely. And I think penis size is one of those, it's not as important as one would think. I think, to answer your question, I think good sex, great sex, has very little to do with penis size and a lot more to do with a lot of other variables.
Bracken, that sounds like it's a really, really, really hard thing to go through, and I'm really sorry that you have to experience that, especially if you are celebrating any holidays. That's really, really hard. I would suggest that you definitely reach out to a therapist in your area. You can find one through Psychology Today, because we can't provide direct therapy to you. This is just purely educational. It wouldn't be ethical for us to do that. So definitely find your own therapist to get support through this and lean into supports, okay? Again, that's Psychology Today. You can find a therapist. You can filter through insurance and all of that. And I'm sorry again that you're experiencing that. That's really hard.
Yeah, I think we might have that linked in our disclaimer too. Feel free to take a look at that. You know, the first people that discovered porn addiction or really started talking about it are like the IT specialists of that time frame, computer programmers, because they were the ones that first had access to high-speed internet and the pornography that came with that. So early forums where guys were getting online and kind of being like, is anyone else having a problem with this? Were guys with those types of careers. Of course, it's spread a lot, you know, since then. So just a little bit of trivia there. How do you think, okay, question for you, Victoria, and anyone in the chat. How do you think porn use has changed over the last 5 years?
I bet it continues to increase, and I bet we're seeing far more female viewers. And I'm sure we're seeing younger and younger viewers.
Okay.
And
okay.
I'm sure we're seeing more and more taboo topics being picked on.
Any idea why you would suggest that in the last 5 years? Also, handmade mayonnaise is more widely accessible. In the last 5 years? In the last 20 years? Maybe in the last 5 years. I'm thinking, what has happened in the world?
Oh,
I'm talking about the last 5 years.
Specific to 5 years. Okay. The pandemic. People are isolated. They're looking for comfort. They're looking for intimacy, and that's how they're gaining it. And then since then, maybe they've been more addicted to it.
Birdseed gaming since the age of 9. That's really young. That's really young. You're spot on, Victoria. It's, you know, we have the pandemic, everybody in lockdown, everybody at home all the time. And now you have a lot of people working from home. So you have people that have even more isolation, more privacy, more access to pornography. And I think that this is becoming more and more of a problem for guys that end up utilizing pornography in a compulsive way. Okay, another trivia question here for everybody in the chat. What do you think the first symptom for porn addiction is that grabs the attention of someone who is compulsively using porn? The one that kind of seals the deal, like, okay, something's wrong.
They can't masturbate without it?
No.
Okay.
Good guess, Victoria. Negative.
Negative.
Try again.
We need one of those taboo buzzers.
Yeah. It's a good guess. Solid guess. Anybody? Unable to get aroused without it. Yes, you're on the right track. Mr. Johnny Two Shoes, good to see you there. Erectile dysfunction is the number one symptom that finally sends that signal, like something's wrong. This is not a symptom everybody develops. Some people struggling with porn addiction will develop other symptoms, and not necessarily erectile dysfunction, but for a lot, it can lead to difficulty getting an erection, sustaining an erection when having sex with a partner. So, which starts to really impact your life, right? Your relationships, how you feel about yourself, your confidence, and usually that is what finally sends somebody the message that something's not right here. However, I will say we did do a live stream. Gosh, when was that? Was it the last one, Victoria? I don't even remember now. The
Penis problems?
Penis problems.
I think that was the last one. And it's on YouTube.
Yes, check it out on YouTube. We talk about erectile dysfunction and how, how to go about addressing that. You first want to make sure that there isn't something medically going on. So you want to see a urologist, see a doctor, rule out that there's not something physiological going on first. There is an exercise in the book, Your Brain on Porn. I'm not going to go over it because we don't have time for that today. But there is an exercise you can do as like an experiment with yourself if you want to see if it's porn-related erectile dysfunction versus anxiety-related erectile dysfunction, or perhaps something physiological going on. So feel free to check that book out. It's really good. It's a very easy read if you are interested, if you're wondering if you might be struggling with porn addiction yourself. It's a really good book. I will, when this video gets up on YouTube, I will link it in the description box. Okay, so skipping ahead, because I had a lot of information tonight that we are not going to get all through. But other warning signs, aside from erectile dysfunction, that could indicate that you have a pornography addiction. Spending more time searching for just the right porn to get off to, binging on porn with this idea like satisfaction is just around the corner. Well, what if the next one's better? What if the next one's just right? You just keep searching, keep clicking, multiple tabs open, rapidly viewing various content. The content sometimes needs to escalate in some way in order to achieve the same level of arousal. Maybe more shocking content, more aggressive content, more taboo. And for some people, the content that you're watching is now shifting away from what your sexual orientation is. So some people will talk about viewing like gay porn or trans porn, and they're like, I'm not even actually attracted to people of the same gender or trans individuals, and yet that's what they're now viewing more and more of. Again, it goes along with that like needing to escalate and shift what the content is that you're viewing to get that same level of arousal.
Right. Needs to get more intense or more taboo.
Difficulty with arousal with partners, erectile dysfunction. Some other, maybe less common, but I have worked with individuals that have, masturbated to the point of self-injury, an injury to the genitals. That would also be an indication that there's a problem there. Viewing porn to the extent that it's disrupting your job, your social time, other relationships, and if you feel like you're losing joy in other aspects of your life, those would all be warning signs to consider if you're wondering if you might have a problem. So, how to cure? We have the term cure in our title. The word cure, it's like, it's as if you can magically be better and never have a problem again. It's not really accurate, but how do you treat porn addiction? How do you find hope for yourself and your sex life again? So there's this term out there in the porn addiction community called like a reset or reboot for your brain. It is a period of time where you cut out all pornography, you delete all pornography. Some people have to stop masturbating altogether, and some people also have to stop having sex with a partner altogether. It depends on the severity of your symptoms, but the number one thing is definitely cutting out and deleting all pornography. You do this for a period of time. This is to restore your reward circuitry in your brain, and restore the sensitivity to your reward circuitry in your brain. So, as with compulsive pornography use, you start to lose attraction to partners, and you lose, the ability to have healthy erections when having sex with a partner. You can restore all of that by just giving your brain a whole reset and a break from it. And in time, your natural libido and erections will all restore. So that's the number one thing. It will reduce cravings of your dopamine pathway. So withdrawal symptoms, right? We touched upon that. You feel like really intense cravings for pornography when you cut it out. So that won't last forever. Whatever withdrawal symptom you might be experiencing, it will not last forever. And then you want to avoid porn replacements. So social media accounts with risque photos, Victoria's Secret ads, dating apps, anything that is sort of like a similar like cycle that you're falling into of the searching, the wanting, that experience of trying, and you might be telling yourself, well, it's not porn though, but if it feels familiar, like you're falling into a cycle that you had with pornography, be mindful of anything that can be used as like a porn substitute, because that will just kind of keep that dopamine searching and wanting and desiring that. Okay, other things. I'm going to get to the most important. There's a lot of things you can do in recovery that are important. And again, this book is great, Your Brain on Porn. Consider getting a porn and ad blocker. I can, when this is up on YouTube, I can link a few that you can use. Consider a day counter. This is where you tally every day that you are porn free. It's just a way to kind of like encourage yourself to keep going.
You get a little reward from that too, like a little like dopamine reward of like I hit that goal. Goal setting and goal achievement can reduce or can produce some dopamine too. So even like, oh, I got another day, but that's some healthier dopamine.
Right, right. And I think it just being able to measure your progress and see how far you've come, because sometimes on really, really tough days, it feels like you're not making any progress at all. I will say one thing to be careful of are the day counters that once you relapse, if you were to go and view pornography again, you have to start back at the beginning. It's kind of like chips with 12-step programs. Like if you relapse, you got to give all your chips back and start from the beginning. That can feel really discouraging for somebody. So my preferred method that I suggest people use is even if you relapse, you don't get a tally for that day, but you get to keep tracking how many days in recovery you have had. So
I love that.
Yeah, just like keeping it in the positive versus like this feeling of defeat that can happen when you feel like I have to start all over again. Okay, getting support is probably the biggest thing. Most people struggle with recovery and porn addiction if they're doing it alone. So finding a sex therapist that is sensitive to understanding pornography addiction, because as we spoke about at the beginning of our live stream, there are people in the professional world that don't even believe this really exists. So you don't want to be working with somebody that's going to invalidate your experience and not actually give you support and the help that you need. So a therapist, there's tons of support groups out there and online. So there's a few here, and forums. Forums can be really helpful because you can read other people's experience and you can share your experience. NoFap.com, Reboot Nation is one. YourBrainRebalanced.com, Your Brain on Porn. The book that I have read has a website as well. There are some 12-step groups that some guys find helpful, like Sex and Love Addicts Anonymous. They will often welcome people with pornography addiction, even if their addiction is not to sex or love, but pornography. Usually they are welcomed into those communities as well. There's a couple of apps. Our Tribe is one, and I believe that's a coaching app. You do have to pay for it. If you don't have insurance that would cover a therapist or treatment, this could be a good option because I want to say it's like $25 a week, which is similar to a copay a lot of people would spend seeing a therapist. So you can have somebody assigned to you as a coach that you can check in with directly. I believe they also have community forums on there. And Brain Buddy is another app that a lot of clients I've worked with have enjoyed using. And
Same with
found,
me. That's been the most popular one as well.
Mm-hmm. Brain Buddy is a good one. And they also have counting, like day counters within the apps as well that you can utilize. So there's more. Exercise, hobbies. I mean, they sound cliche. It's sort of cliche when you think anybody in any form of addiction recovery just suddenly starts going to the gym like a ton. There's actually research to suggest why that is. There's a website called gettingstronger.org if you want to learn a little bit more about that. But exercise is one of the most universally beneficial treatments, I guess, interventions to use if you are in recovery. It does restore your dopamine levels. It increases them in a healthy way. So you can do that. What do you say, Victoria? Does that wrap up our porn addiction? Let's wrap it up. Thank you to everybody who participated in the chat, especially those of you who, asked legit questions and shared. I know some of you were just looking to get, I think, a reaction out of myself or Victoria, but we appreciate those of you who tuned in and cared to learn a little bit more about this topic. We hope you'll come back. We're here every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m.
Eastern
time. Yeah. Feel free to, if you have any further questions or topic suggestions, you can utilize the suggestion box. Or if you're listening to this on YouTube at a later time, leave a comment. And if you were here wondering if you're struggling with porn addiction, I hope that you are leaving here feeling less alone and validated, and maybe with some idea on where to go for support. And yeah, let us know if, in the very least, if you're wondering if you might have a problem with porn addiction, try stopping. Just try. I mean, it really does no harm to try cutting porn out of your life and see what happens. See if you feel differently. See if your sex life with a partner improves. See if the quality of your erection improves. See if there's any mental health benefit. I mean, it really does no harm to you. So give it a go. Okay?
All right.
We will see you next week.